everyone. I hope, okay, it's recording. I hope like you still have enough energy to follow, especially the keynote speaker this morning. You know, like it's so inspiring how we can implement about our living theory in our work in relation to leadership. Okay, we are seeing your slide, Ibu Kartika. Please,
can
you
you hear
can,
my voice clearly?
yes, you can start whenever you are ready.
All right. So, good morning, everyone. It's 9:30 here, so it's still morning. My name is Rika, and I'm a bit nervous actually, yet excited for this presentation because this is my very first time doing living educational research. So, my paper will talk about my struggling about serving counseling with confidentiality because confidentiality is the core of ethic codes of counseling. You can't do counseling without confidentiality. So I started my living educational research with reflect on and critically examine the educational influence of my struggle in serving counseling with confidentiality. So I started it with questioning my practice in counseling. What can I do to keep my students safe and sound whenever they're doing counseling with me? And what can I do to serve my student better in the majority of society who lack of knowledge and awareness about confidentiality? Because as a communal country, Indonesian people have a great curiosity about someone else's business that leads them to gossip. And living educational theory, exploring my confidentiality journey. So I started by examining my personal value. I remember since I was a kid, I learned from my mom that sometimes life can be so hard and nothing we can do but share that with someone who listens to our story without judgmental response. So keeping a secret will become a major event as sometimes people may trust us with their unbearable things in their life and require us to keep it a secret. So yeah, I think it established a good foundation for my understanding about privacy and how to respect someone else's privacy. And also, I also learned to be assertive when someone asks me about my privacy or something that I don't like to answer, or maybe the question that makes me uncomfortable. And then the second one on my professional background, I realized that my educational background has contributed to my journey of confidentiality awareness. Um, I graduated from State University of Jakarta, majoring in guidance and counseling. And on my magister degree, we have class. It's called Code of Ethics Counseling, Code of Guidance and Counseling Ethics. And in 2014, that was my first engagement with ACA, or American Counseling Association Code of Ethics, and American School Counseling Association Code of Ethics. And my lectures gave me an assignment to write a narrative writings about code of ethics in Indonesia. So yeah, that's my journey about confidentiality awareness. And then as a civil servant, I faced the challenges since I have to sending a monthly report as a duty of civil servants, including my counseling report. And somehow they required me to put on the picture of my student who do counseling with me. And of course, it's I don't have a permission, so I then make a discussion with my principal. How can I write a monthly report without harming my student? So here is the email from my for my college when I was a student in magister degree. And then this is the picture of my student who do counseling with me in my monthly report. I asked their permission whether they give me permission to put their picture without their face exposed as my monthly report. And I also face cultural challenges to practice counseling with confidentiality. As I mentioned earlier, that Indonesian people as a communal country has a great curiosity about someone else's business. They usually ask about something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Let's say maybe they will ask you, oh, what did you do in the counseling room? And it makes my student uncomfortable to do counseling with me because they have a pressure to answer that question. And this is establishing my awareness to do safe and sound counseling. This is my workspace. To get to my workspace, my student have to walk through the teacher's room. So of course they are exposed by other teachers whenever they are trying to reach my workspace. This is the inside of our workspace. Actually, there are 4 teachers here. So I share guidance and counseling room with 3 other teachers. And we don't have a counseling room. So whenever I do counseling, the other teacher have to go to another room. So even though I realized that this is the room, sorry. And even though I realized that Indonesian people has a great curiosity about someone else's life, and other teacher may ask many questions to my student who will do counseling with me, I face contradiction as my belief that my students will come to my workspace to do counseling willingly, despite the challenges that they face due to the careers of others to their activity in the counseling room. So I did a professional consultation with Dr. Susi Fitri, and she reminds me about the empowerment of my students to be assertive, because in order to answer the questions, they have an assertive skill, assertive communication skills. So I come to my awareness that this is not only confidentiality issue that I'm dealing with, but also how to empower my student to be assertive so that they can face every question that might appear from their friends or others about their counseling sessions. So I start to promoting assertiveness to my student. I start with giving them self-evaluation exercises so that I can have, let's say, um, the better how acceptive my student. So I give them the assertiveness self-evaluation exercise, which modified from Murphy. I translated the original version into Bahasa Indonesia. So I got the picture of my student assertiveness who needs to improve. Some of them are having 4 to 6 no answer, which means they may have trouble being assertive and possibly replace severing what if scenario when they are responding or they are answer or responding someone else's questions. And then this is including how to respond when someone asks them about their activity in counseling room. And then after that, well, I know when I know as Indonesian as Indonesian, I was teach and they also teach to be obey to our parents. So learning assertiveness skill can be difficult. Some factors that influence children assertive behavior are family and school, gender, parenting pattern, age, social person, and blah blah blah. And then this is the evidence of my student. And I know that after uh, the assertive training, they have the courage to do counseling with me. So some of my students chat me to do counseling willingly. And I have a real case study when my student poses danger. I mean, my student show a suicidal thoughts, and then I evaluating confidentiality needs based on that urgent for her safety. But at the time when I have a committee meeting with my principal and her homeroom teacher, unfortunately, one of our team spilled the tea to other students about uh, her condition. So I suspected that my college do uh, unethical conduct. So I choose to confronting my college directly about what she did and the impact which may appear. And of course, uh, in order to building support environment, I promoting confidentiality as the ethical of counseling to my student, my colleagues, and then the school community itself. And I also having a supervisor and take a professional consultation with Dr. Susi Fitri when I had a difficult cases. So this is the repetition. I have a private system spaces. I educating stakeholder for confidentiality, and then encouraging student with assertiveness, and also reviewing ethical guidelines. I usually use American School Counseling Association ethic codes, and then ethic codes of Asosiasi Bimbingan Konseling Indonesia, or Indonesian Guidance and Counseling Association Code of Ethics.
Ibu Rika, you have about 3 more minutes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So this is it, the ethical issue in my research. So I asked my student to have informed consent, and then I do professional coaching on writing living educational paper with Prof. Jake Whitehead and Mary. And then as the conclusions, I'm still upholding confidentiality in counseling as long as I work as a counselor. So this is my long life journey to protect confidentiality, to upholding confidentiality in every counseling session that I have with my students. So that's all the wrap up. Thank you everyone for your kind attention. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Rika Kartikawati. That's really wonderful presentations with, I can find a connections when you share about the Indonesian culture, and the challenges living as an Indonesian. Okay, we welcome any responses or questions to Ibu Rika. Also for reminder that next we will have Naif Al-Sulami. I hope I pronounce it right. This is
Yes, he did. Thank you.
oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Any responses?
Maybe I could just ask a question. Rika, thank you for your presentation. I can see that you have learned a lot about some important aspects of your counselling practice, in fact, your counselling teaching practice. I was reflecting on the relationship between your learning in this action research process or living educational theory process. Have you had an opportunity to think about how what you've done relates to transformative learning?
Okay, thank you, Professor Peter. So on transformative learning, I know that as a counselor, as a guidance and counseling teacher, we have a stigma for students who do counseling. So they are afraid of doing counseling. So because there are a lot of stigma, if you do counseling, it means then you are a problematic student. You are have a bad attitude. So I want to promoting counseling as a way of we establish a well-being students. We help students to have a better life, a better understanding about what they do in their lives. So yeah, I think we are trying to serve our student in the form of education better, because in Indonesia, counselor or counseling is really different with other countries. Also about mental health, we really have so many stigma about that.
Okay, well, thank you for your response. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Rika. Next presenter, we have Naif Al-Sulami.
Yes, thank you very much. So should I share my PowerPoint from my slide, right?
Yes. And please start whenever you are ready. Thank you.
Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning. Sabah al khair, Selamat pagi. This is Naif Al-Sulami from Saudi Arabia. It's the clock round to 5:52 a.m. I've been here so early. I wake up at 4 a.m. just to attend this exciting and great conference and see some of my old friends and making other new friends.
Good to see
Great
you,
to
Naif.
see
Good
you.
to see you.
Good to see you, Peter. It's always great to see you. You are always inspiring me, always. Okay, to just follow up with this presentation, I named the title as Transformative Learning for Sustainability and Islamic Perspective. From the title, there is like three themes: transformative learning, and sustainable development, and Islamic perspective. I've been with Peter Taylor as I call myself as transformative learner. And transformative learners means I start aware of things I wasn't aware before. That's the key things about me in the journey of transformative learning. I start using what they call aha experience. What does that mean? It's you start realizing something you didn't realize before. Aha, this is it. So I call it aha experience. Then when I search about it, it was already there. There is people before me, they call it aha experience. So that's why I bring them together to transformative learning for sustainability and Islamic perspective. To make it quick, I'll talk about a little bit about global challenges and sustainability, Islamic sustainability, education for sustainability, and then transformative learning and what is Islamic teachings for sustainability. Global challenges is everywhere, unfortunately, environmentally, socially, and economically. Now, if we see, for example, in environment, we see pollution, we see climate change. For social challenges, we see the quality, inequality of education, poverty or inequality and conflict, especially around my region. For economic challenges, we see the inequality, job disruption, and sustainable economic growth. This an example of global challenges. The question is, who is responsible? Who are making these challenges? Are they made by planet, by nature, by animal? Unfortunately and sadly, no. We are the people of this planet are causing these challenges through either unaware or irresponsible behavior. Even Allah said in the Quran that damage has appeared on land and sea because of what people's hands have earned, that they may taste some of what they have done, so they may turn back to righteousness. And I believe dealing with these challenges is useless unless we examine our behavior that makes these challenges. Even Allah said in the Quran, God doesn't change the condition of a nation until they change what is in themselves. So I think like changing the condition of the world economically, socially, environmentally may not be achievable unless we change what is in ourselves, in myself, and yourself, and ourselves collectively. So a brief about sustainability is it's a pressing global priority that requires a fundamental shift in societal values, behavior, and practices to tackle these challenges that made by us. We have to recognize that that's made by people. The importance of sustainability is recognized worldwide. But usually we say sustainability. What do we mean by sustainability? It's a brief definition about it. It's to meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. We need in this present in this generation, we need to meet our needs. That's fine, and it's important to meet our needs. But do we need to take all or more than beyond what we need? And I could say, this is what we need or this is what we want. I think for sustainability, only enough to take what you need, not what you want. What you want is more than what you need, actually. I want this and this and no, but this is more than what you need. So reflecting in ourselves, well, I should stop here. This is only what I need. I can survive with this. If I take what I want, there is nothing will be enough for me. There is nothing will be enough for me. Even the Prophet said, if a guy has 2 mountains of gold, he will need the third one. That's if we just think about what we want. So it's very important to think about what we need. Okay, if we turn about what is Islamic sustainability, or if there is anything about sustainability can be seen from Islamic perspective, actually the Quran and Hadith, when I look at it, there is like more than 500 verses talking about this. Quran and Hadith as Islamic sources of Islamic teaching provide insight into the concept of sustainability, and I'll give a couple of examples here. From the Quran, several verses emphasize the importance of balance, justice, and responsible consumptions. For example, the Quran says, eat and drink. That's fine, but do not waste. Do not be extravagant. So he doesn't, means Allah, God, doesn't like the extravagant. This verse warns against the wastefulness and promotes responsible consumptions, a key principle of sustainability. Also, the Hadith offers guidance of sustainable practices. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the world is beautiful and green, and God appointed you as a human as his steward in it, and he will see what you do. This Hadith emphasized the role of human as a steward, as a monitor of the earth, entrusted with its care. If we talk about education for sustainability, there is like a key role for education to promote sustainability, and is widely acknowledged. As an educator, I believe that in promoting education for sustainability, the reason why, it's to answer the questions, what is the purpose of education? If education doesn't help us, doesn't help our children, the citizen of this earth, well, these are the people are responsible stewards of the planet. So a question of the purpose of education should be raised. That's why I think as an educator, it's important for me to promote sustainability. Otherwise, I should question myself. Why am I teaching? What the purpose of my teaching? And UNESCO urged to embrace the education for sustainable development and to make clear definitions that we can understand what they mean by that. It's an educational framework and approach that seeks to educate individuals with the knowledge, skills, value, and attitudes needed that to contribute to a more sustainable and equitable society. However, there are concerns about whether current higher education approach adequately prepare learners to address global sustainability challenges. So educator may not only impart knowledge and value, including Islamic value, including Islamic principle of stewardship or balance or justice or compassion, but also cultivate a deep understanding and ability to address complex global issues. It's always when you have a new topic, we think about adding more information or adding more knowledge. And here's the danger. It's not about the knowledge. It's not about we adding, but it's about how we learn these things. Learners, I think, do not change their way of thinking. They do not change their value. They do not change their perceptions only by being told. It's not enough. For example, this is like a sake of an argument. I would say in Muslim world, or let's take it in the Saudi Arabian context. If I ask every single student, I would say like 99%. If I say removing a harm from the world, what is that called? Everyone will say, okay, it's a charity, because this is what the Prophet said. He said, removing harm from the world is a charity. And they know that. And so if I put this in exam, everyone will get a high mark for it. But unfortunately, we see rubbish everywhere. So they're not removing their rubbish, they're putting rubbish. So it's against what they know. Where is the problem? They know, but they don't realize what they're doing. And it's always because, for me, I think it's always because how they learn that. They only memorize it to test it. But if they engage in learning, transformative learning, they will realize this is the hadith from the Prophet, to practice it, not just only to memorize it. And so on and so forth, for so many examples. So that's why I argue for the transformative learning as a valuable educational approach, which I think prepare teacher for the important task of promoting sustainability. It's a powerful process that involves a profound shift in individual beliefs, value, and perspective. Now, they need to this kind of shift. Otherwise, it will be only in the mind, but we need to see it in practice. Sustainability needs practices. It doesn't need only information. Everyone probably knows about like the hate of wasting, the hate of the conflict, seeing people dying everywhere. For what? What's the reason of that? So information is not enough, but where is the practice? So it goes beyond like earning new knowledge or skills. It's a deep personal transformation that lead to a lasting change. In the context of sustainability, transformative learning play a crucial role in fostering a shift towards a more sustainable practice and behavior. So at its core, transformative learning involves challenging and questioning deeply held assumptions and belief, or sometimes unaware behavior or irresponsible behavior. We need to think about that. We sometimes do behavior without thinking about it. Once we start think about it, we realize it straight away. Oh my God, why I'm doing this? It's again, aha experience. Oh, I start now be aware of what I'm doing. So it's a lead to re-evaluation of one perspective, understanding of the world. The process of critical reflection that helps individual make sense of their experiences and construct new meaning. I think the time is going fast, so I'll mention some of the Islamic teaching that I think it's aligned with the idea of sustainable development. Islamic teaching provide a ground for transformative learning experiences that promote sustainable practices and motivate learners to live in a harmony with nature. And there are, I pick up 4 examples of the rooted in the principle as Khalifa and Adl and Mizan and Rahmah. Khalifa mean stewardship, Adl mean justice, Mizan mean balance, Rahmah mean compassion. And quickly, so the first one is the Khalifa. The Islamic teaching view human as Khalifa, mean mentor of the earth. They look after the earth, entrusted with its care and preservation, and with the responsibility of managing its resources wisely. The Quran says, it is He, Allah, God, who had made you successor upon the earth, highlighting the responsibility to maintain the planet for future generation. This concept promotes a shift from dominating nature to responsible stewardship, which provide a powerful foundation for transformative learning experiences. So students can have this kind of experience, help them to understand their ethical responsibility towards the environment and the resources. By exploring the environment implication, by being Khalifa, by being mentor, by you are responsible for this, the earth that you're living in, learner can develop a deep respect of nature and sense of duty towards its preservation. So the another example is the adl, the just. The Islamic teaching emphasizes justice in all aspects of creation, including the natural world, viewing environmental degradation as a violation of these principles. Social and environmental justice are intertwined in Islamic ethics, with the focus of ensuring equitable access to resources and protecting vulnerable communities from environmental harm. The third Islamic teaching I called al-Mizan, or which is the maintaining balance and moderation in the natural world, and it's all aspects of life actually, including the use of natural resources. Islamic teaching this encouraged the israf, which is called extravagance, and promote mindful consumptions habit. And there is an example popular, especially in Muslim community. There is a guy who is doing ablution, washing his hand and face, preparing himself to go to the pray. And the Prophet said to him, "Don't waste water. You are wasting." And he was surprised. I'm preparing to pray. And then the Prophet said, "Don't waste water, even if you are in a river." Even if you are in a river. And he was, "Is there a waste in preparing to God?" He said, "Even if you are in a river." So even this is again, if we ask any Muslim guy, individual about this, they know that. But where is the practice? We memorize this kind of hadith and saying, but the practice is not there. And also, I again accusing the traditional learning of if people engage in transformative learning, they might go to realize what they are learning. Yeah, that's true. It's not only to memorize the not wasting water, but also we have to not waste water. It's not enough to knowing that and memorize it and doing it in text, but in practice, and I go home, and then when I brush my teeth and keep the tap running while I'm brushing my teeth for 2 minutes, so that's waste of water. The implication, I should turn the tap off and then continue.
Okay, now if you may wrap up your presentations.
Okay, okay, then let's move to the third one is al-Rahma, compassion. Transformative learning experiences could cultivate empathy for the environment and future generation. And also this is so many examples about the mercy and about the compassion towards people, towards animals, towards planet. And there is so many hadith and verses. And the last one is we call it tafakkur fil khalq, which is the Islamic teachings encourage reflecting on a deep contemplation of the wonders of nature. Immersing our self-experience in nature, such as field trip or nature journaling, can foster a sense of awe and connection with the environment. Okay, another one, just to end this quickly. I think by integrating the principles of stewardship, balance, justice, and compassion with educational practices, I think it's possible to cultivate a deep and ethical commitment to sustainability. And this is not only aligned with the spiritual and moral dimensions of Islam, but also provides a powerful framework for fostering a more sustainable and equitable world. As we navigate to the complexity of the 21st century, embracing this value can lead, I hope, to a meaningful and lasting change. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm sorry if I take more time than I should. Thank you.
Thank you, Naif. I know it has been a challenge, working in different time zones. Okay, we welcome any responses or questions to Naif. Thank you for bringing up several Islamic principles in your teachings.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. I have to applaud Naif, who I've known for many years, as a cultural ambassador, as an ambassador for sustainable education for sustainable development in Saudi Arabia. I imagine your children are very well educated in this area, Naif. What I'm interested in is, beyond your teaching, are the children engaging this kind of education when they go to school?
So you mean to my kids?
Yeah, your children, when they go to school locally, are they receiving this type of teaching?
Unfortunately, no. But what's good for me is they challenge what they see.
Ah, well,
I love it
that's a
when
good
they come
start.
back with comments. I love it when they come back sometime with a little bit of anger of what they see.
Uh-huh.
I find it like amusing. It makes me happy that they think the way that I encourage them to think. Sometimes when they see some behavior that unthoughtful or irresponsible, they make some comments. I like that actually. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's uh, in education, like 99% thinking only about delivering the content.
Mm.
And when I sit with teachers trying to do some research, most of the time the response is, you are talking about something way beyond our scope, way beyond what we need. We have limited time, so much content. We just need to deliver this. And then when I sit back, reflecting on their responses, it's only about the matter of responsibility, because nobody asks you to do that. And it's not an easy task for a teacher to take the role to be an agent to change, because it's not something rewardable. Nobody like gonna say thank you for doing that. And it's a job, like an extra job on your shoulder to do. You get what I mean?
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm amazed that you can, in that situation, maintain your own moral integrity and ethical commitment to sustainability. I think that's really remarkable, and congratulations. And I'm sure everything you've said today resonates with everybody in Indonesia. So thank you.
Thank you very much. If I would say to people, you need to be patient. Honestly, patient is number one. Otherwise, you feel sometime desperate. You know, and it's not easy to live in a sustainable way of life. It's not easy to take this role
Yeah.
because there is so many limitations. It's easy to live unsustainable. It's
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
But if
That's
you
right.
control your behavior, it's not easy. Sometimes you see people around you, they like going crazy with this life, and you only manage yourself to only take what you need more than what you want.
Okay.
It's not easy. And also it's not easy if to take this role in teaching and in like engaging students with this kind of idea. It's not attractive sometimes, or if even if it's attractive, no one interested to take this kind of role because it's, oh, come on, why we bother ourselves with this, you know?
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
your
Naif.
faith obviously maintains your optimism. What about Yuli? Do you want to comment on that?
Yes, because I plan, thank you, Nai, for the presentation. Hope to see you in person.
Good to see
And
you.
then, so Peter, I think Naif, me, and Nanny, I mean, we should publish something in the ways of using Islam as our
Absolutely.
framework. Yeah. So it is my plan this year because I have been almost completed with the culture and then moving to STEAM. And so I really would I will do in my presentation in the room 3 regarding the science, the Islamic science teaching. And then I would like to ask whether Naif has the same experience in the way of, because in science it's so easy to integrate with its Islam because all the Quran say several things about science. So how about in mathematics? About integrating the mathematic concept with the stated in Islam, probably Quran, Hadith, or any source of Islamic religion beliefs. Thank you, Naif. That's my question.
Thank you. That's interesting because my big brother is a professor of mathematics, pure mathematics. And we talk about how to bring value in mathematics classroom. And he said, mathematics doesn't have value. They said, yeah, but I said, yeah, I'm not talking about numbers, but what beyond that? But and then we had an argument. He's older than me, and he said, well, if you teach mathematics in Saudi Arabia, or if you teach mathematics in China, you're teaching the same things. Has nothing to do with the context. Again, I said yes, but it's about what is the purpose of education?
Good point.
Yeah, it's easy to only teach the numbers, but we can like add some value to those numbers.
Okay, I know it can be, ongoing discussions because
Oh
it's really
yeah, we could
interesting
talk about this
topic.
for another hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to respect for other participants,
So thank you.
we have Siti Amina, and please, for Swami, if you have questions, we can move on later on when we still have time, or you can direct your questions to Naif. Ibu Siti Amina.
I'm
Thanks,
here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Feel free to share your PowerPoint slides
Yeah.
and start when you are ready.
Okay. I use two devices because my first device I cannot open my camera, so maybe my angle is right and left. Before I presentation, maybe I need help Ibu moderator to translate. Maybe I get the response and asking to translate in bahasa. Thank you, Ibu moderator. Okay. We
3 घन्टादेखि मुख धोएर गएको म त्यहाँ लाइन यता जान्छ नाम्ची यता जान्छ छाप्ला अनि यता जाँदाखेरि लाइन अब घन्टौँ बुढाबुढीको बिजोग त्यो सम्झे सबैका छोराछोरी विदेश 2-3 जना बुढाबुढीको हामीले फर्म दिएर
wait. I get the problem. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Siti Amina Alfalati. I'm from Jakarta. I would like to present my paper, How Living Educational Theory Research is Helping Me to Improve My Practice as a Lecturer in Supporting Students to be Empowerment. So, my paper full of my journey. How can I get the attachment avoidance and the process with the all of journey to be secure. First of all, I want to story about how can I get the avoidant attachment. I live with my parents. I feel their physical presence as a parents, but I feel that my psychological needs are not met. Far from my childhood experience, where being ignored and distinguished by having a big body is a one that I am strong at subconscious. The ones were stored long enough that I didn't realize that almost some decisions in my life were determined by ones. Being treated differently because having an unideal body shape keeps my relationship with my parents distant and has no emotional closeness. So in attachment theory, Ainsworth and Bowlby explain that the quality of the children early interaction with the primary caregiver that affect the psychological and interpersonal function of a child throughout his or her life. This theory has the premises that attachment security develops when the caregiver gives the affection, consistency, and responsibility in early parenting, while those who receive harassment treatment, rejection, and inconsistency during early parenting will develop insecure attachment. So growing into an insecure person makes it difficult for me to trust others. Positioning myself as a woman with a form of attachment insecure avoidant made me grow up with a fear of rejection and neglected. Feeling insecure makes me difficult for me to be in a romantic relationship. So I learned a lot about how can to be secure from my magister class, and I learned a lot how to I got the many process. How can to be the secure. In a conversation I had with a friends about how I always lost the moment in capturing the affection signal sent by a man because of the subconscious. I always give the signal is dangerous. If there was someone trying to approach me because I was an insecure avoidant. After a journey, I know I got the insecure avoidant, but and I tried to get the secure from the reflective writing. The reflective writing helped me to identification my issue. I learned a lot from my trauma since childhood to become secure, reading more books, and then discussing with my lecturer and my friends, practicing assertiveness, discussing with lecturer, and many can I get to be empower myself. And then how can I know about my educational values? The process that I did in the self-empowering to become empowered, not I did myself, I know. In the course of my magister class, I met with inspiring woman, Mrs. Susi Fitri, in a multi-counseling course class, multicultural counseling course, and she explained about the gender rules and how women have the same rules, opportunities, right, and obligation as a man. So it's important for us women to realize, are you empowered right now? Being empowered is about positive change and retribution to balance of power in a given society, where power is defined as control over resource and ideology. So the research may be so the values that I developed based on my experience and life journey made me consistently bring those values to the learning process that I'm doing right now. This research helped me understand well the values I have become the standard of judgment in today's teaching practice. Values are the guiding principle that determine what people will prioritize in making a judgment and what they will strive for seeking improvement. Reflection was one of the enjoyable tasks for me when I attend magister class in Mrs. Susi Fitri class. She invited me to understand from the issue that we have by writing a reflection on each given theme. I make a reflection writing how I know my identity, how I know my from what my ethnicity and my religion and what my parents' job, and from the reflective writing I learned a lot about my how can I get the values. And then being an empowerment woman for me is not difficult to be a long journey, to get the long journey based on my experience of being a woman with the less confidence and a negative self-concept is not good thing. Of course, it makes it difficult for me to live a life and socialize with the outside environment. The process of becoming a powerful woman made me reflect back that the decisions I made were based on fear and anxiety. Will I able to do it? Will anyone accept my decision? Will anyone be angry with me? What if that person disappointed with the work I do? Being a woman with an insecure attachment makes me helpless. Attachment, I think to have the ability to be empowered, we must understand the form of attachment we currently have. So I try to know my attachment, and I know I grow up with insecure. So I try to grow up with the learn a lot about my trauma, and I try to learn how to be the secure. And when I got the secure, I try to help my student the uh, from the living educational theory. Okay. How my teaching is developing my living educational theory. My primary educational influence has been my experience as a lecturer and researcher, as well as the knowledge I have gained from the teaching. During my research process, I prioritize self-reflection and further solidified this practice by studying various reflective methodologies, as well as the importance of documentation, my reflection in notebook during my course lectures. I use the reflective methodology to learn about my student point of view, knowledge, and applicable theories and personal perspective. Based on my study findings, I'm persuaded that the university serves as a platform for intellectual discussion among adults. For me, teaching is the way I refresh myself and give knowledge learned throughout my life to be shared with my students so that they can help find solutions to the problems. Since becoming a lecturer, my focus has been on making student potential educators, because it's important for the future teachers to be well-being so that they can help the student in their school. Okay. How my teaching is developing my living educational theory. I use the reflective methodology to learn about my student. I use the reflective methodology to learn about my students' point of view, and then I employ it in my research has significantly helped to my ongoing personal and professional growth. And based on my study findings, I'm persuaded that the university serves the platform. And then this is the assignment for my student when the reflective assignment. And then this is writing reflective my student. Yeah. Wait. From my student reflective writing, I know they have the trouble making decision in their life, either with their parents or a romantic relationship, and some decision in their lives are still dominated by parents' choice, even though those choices don't make them happy. As a woman and a man in domestic work is a very inherent task. So one factor that affects a woman is not having the power to make decision in her own life due to a very stiff patriarchal culture in Indonesia. This inequality between the roles of men and women becomes a structural barrier that causes individuals in society not to have equal access and opportunities. I understand what my students feel about the feeling of helplessness, because the patriarchal culture system in Indonesia make it possible for girls not to have the opportunity to make decisions and be responsible in their lives. In the course of teaching, I would normally I always question from the reflective writing. The simple question, are the clothes you wear today based on your own choice, or Are you happy today? Did you consciously decide to go to college by yourself, or do you choose the food you eat today by on yourself? I always ask I always ask my student for their knowing what they know and what they do.
Okay, Miss Siti, you may wrap up your presentation.
Okay, the addressing my living contradiction in my paper, living with my educational values of empowerment in a country that has a patriarchal culture is not straightforward to adapt to all the new forms of thinking that I present to my students. In a patriarchal culture, we as children are not often given the opportunity to express our opinion about some choice, having the empowerment skills to express opinions and express the right often classes with the culture we have learned since childhood. So the conclusion, this paper is not the end of my research journey. There are still many things I have to do to be able to develop learning methods in my classroom. I realize that some students may still have hidden concern about empowerment, and I realize the weakness in this research is that it hasn't been implemented using the assertive method to be given the student in a class. I'm going to do it on teaching in the next year with increasing exposure to the strategies I use. My hope is that these numbers will continue to decrease through my efforts to create conditioning that allow them the acquire the research knowledge and voice necessary to make decisions that affect their lives. Thank you for the attention.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you, Ibu Siti Aminah, for the insightful presentations. Thank you for sharing your work with us. We welcome any responses to Ibu Siti Aminah. For a reminder, the next presenter will be Carla Pena. Is he here? Because I don't see the name. Or next we can move to Swarup Rawal. Swarup Rawal.
Yeah, neither of those are here today.
Oh, okay. So will be Busra Afzal. And then the last we'll have Ibu Neni Mariana. So, okay, any response or questions, appreciations to Ibu Siti Aminah?
Marita, I used two device, so I will be presenting soon. So Bu Siti, thank you very much. Hello Busra, Peter, and Neni. Bu Siti, thank you very much for the presentation. And since we are working together in living educational theory, so I would like to know during for this 1 year coaching and so on reflection, what do you think the transformation that you feel throughout the process? Thank you.
Well, the whole process that I feel excited and grateful to meet Bu Yuli, Jack, and Mary, and many from the living educational theory. I learned a lot. How can I know my values, and finally I teach in my class from my values. Thank you so much, Bu Yuli and Bu Neni and Jack and Mary.
Yeah, we are looking forward for the next year reflection and then completing our paper to be, so everyone can learn from that kind of experience. Thank you, Bu Siti. Yeah.
Thank you, Bu Yuli.
Okay, next move on to the next presenter. We have Busra.
Sure.
Yeah, feel free to share your slide.
Just give me a few seconds. Can you see my screen yet? Or?
No. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can see.
Yeah. Okay. So hello everybody. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Bushra Afzal, and I am going to talk about my experiences after my PhD study, which I finished 3 years ago. What I did during my PhD, I will be talking about that in a while. But before that, I want to thank you, my supervisor and mentor who is here today, Dr. Peter Taylor. You oversaw this paper as well, and I'm very honored about that as well. So what I did in my doctoral study was I explored how to better integrate teachers from non-English speaking background in Australian education system. So even though the topic was important, very close to my heart, the most important thing became during that process was the research methodology which I used, which is called autoethnography. So I engaged with that research methodology for more than 7 years, and that prolonged engagement enabled me in multiple ways in my growth. I hugely grew in my personal life, in my professional life, as well as in my cultural life. And I dedicated an entire chapter in my thesis to these different growth dimensions. So I will be drawing upon in this paper that how I'm still growing during the same thinking or same autoethnographic approaches. So before we dive into the topic, let's have a look on what autoethnography is actually. So it is an approach to research and writing that seeks to describe and systematically analyze personal experience in order to understand cultural experience. While it looks easier to say, but it is considered amongst the most challenging qualitative research methodologies which we can possibly attempt. And I can testify that it's not easy. It has many challenges, both on the validation point of view, also on the emotional point of view, which I personally experienced. But while it is challenging, it is also very intriguing and promising qualitative research methodologies, which emerges from postmodern philosophy. And you can see the highlighted words here, and why I highlighted them, because these are the ones which really appealed me. The most important part for me was it acknowledges and accommodates subjectivity, emotionality, and the researcher's influence on the research, rather than pretending that these matters don't exist or they are not important. And then finally, as a research method, autoethnography, it can also enable us, within us, a debilitating emotional experience to become an opportunity for ongoing transformative learning, which is the theme of this conference as well. So a few more things before I get into the topic. There is a key concept of autoethnography, which is called double consciousness, which means it allows you both to be an insider and observer to a particular social group. And during my engagement with autoethnography for 7+ years, it taught me as a researcher how I can engage with reflective learning and practices on a daily basis, which potentially enables it to cross the boundaries of a metaphorical research lab and go deeper into the researcher's heart and mind, which can pave the path to be a transformative learning experience for life, not just for a certain purpose of a study, of a research project, or anything like that. And that is what I'm addressing today, that how this autoethnography and my prolonged engagement with it is creeping into every aspect of life, still now, 3 years after PhD, even though I'm not using it as a research methodology anymore. So I will be drawing upon my professional growth as well as my personal growth, and I will be giving different examples about those two dimensions. So first of all, let's have a look on the professional growth. So right after completing my doctoral study, I made a transition from education sector to mental health sector. So I have been in education for more than 15 years. I worked in different roles, worked as a teacher, worked as a deputy principal, education manager. So pretty much like all of you, I spent my major part of my life in education. But I always had a love for psychology. And when I was doing my PhD research during autoethnography, I discovered that what I'm really drawn to is also watching the emotions, analyzing them, watching the human behavior, analyzing that, putting a conclusion towards that. So that really compelled me that I should seriously think about joining the sector, which I have the aptitude for and I have the love for. So I did the transition and I joined Australia's leading mental health research institute, which is called Black Dog Institute. And it stands on 3 pillars: science, action, and compassion. Other than the love for psychology, the values of the organization also were really compelling for me to join it. These are the values which which really resonates with me as well. So I'm working there from last 3 years. My transition was very smooth, very successful. I really did not have any problem to fit in, you can say. And if I go one step further, finally in my professional life, I thought I am with my tribe now. So the people are very much like me and I'm enjoying it to date. You never know where life takes you, but so far, I think I have reached my peak where I am with my kind of people. So that was the first one, that I made a successful interdisciplinary transition, even though still I haven't studied psychology formally. And then another aspect of professional life, bringing authentic self to work, which is not always easier. When we go to work, when we are with our colleagues, we put a lot of mask on us because it is a sensitive place. There are few things you can say. There are some things you really have to hide. And I'm not sure about the global culture, but in Australia, there are certain unspoken rules you can or cannot talk about. For example, it's kind of unspoken rule. You cannot talk about which political party you're supporting, or even about the racism or, feminism and those kind of things. It's not very common to have those conversations. So again, my engagement with autoethnography, it allows me and gives me the courage to initiate those conversations, still within respectful grounds, not to the point of arguments or anything. But I don't find it hard to step into those uncomfortable situations. Then it also allows me to bring my cultural identity to work. So I largely work with the colleagues or workforce, which are majority of them, they're white Australians. I'm the brown one. My background is different. My habits are different. I look different. So all those things, I don't really shy away from them. I proudly own it. And I remember a very funny conversation, which led into a short presentation as well. So many people at my workforce just assume, they don't even ask, they just assume, are you from India? And I cannot remember how many times I have corrected them. No, I'm from Pakistan originally. I moved to Australia, blah, blah, and all that. So I gave a 5-minute presentation to my colleagues, how to spot a difference that if a person is from India or from Pakistan. So really told them telltale signs. So that again is coming from how I identified my cultural identity in my thesis via my engagement with autoethnography and really on that. And the third one is about vulnerability, how you can express things which you really care about, which are closer to your heart. Again, this is work. There are certain things you can say, there are certain things you cannot say. But if you have the courage, if you are really true to yourself, you can find a way. And I think I'm very close to that. I don't shy away. I have the courage to say all those things. And with that, let's have a look on the next presentation. I'm very mindful of the time. Now I'm my leadership style. So at Black Dog Institute, the organization I just mentioned, I lead a large project, which is very impactful. I'm very engaged in leading that, but I also manage a number of people. So when I stepped into that role, the first question I asked myself, what kind of leadership I want to provide? And autoethnography, as I said earlier, it taught me to engage with reflective learning and practices. And that is still helping me to be somebody with reflective thinking and a leadership with reflective thinking as well. So first of all, what is an empathetic leader? Somebody who has the emotional bonds with their reports, who paves the way for them to grow, who paves the way for them to learn and upskill themselves, rather than having the control and fear of hierarchy. I didn't want to be any of those. So the main question I asked myself when I stepped into the leader's role was, how would I like to manage myself? How would I like to be managed by somebody? And the answer was very clear. I want my manager to give me the tools to do my job, provide me the skills, give me clarity what I'm supposed to achieve, and then leave me alone. Give me the autonomy to do my job. And then another thing which was important for me was that my manager, I expect her or him to value and appreciate my work publicly. If I am on track, I'm achieving well. And it is possible I may not. And if I'm not, then I would like him or her to support and guide me in private. So I applied all those principles when I am managing the people who report to me. I gave them all of that, the tools to do their job, the clarity on their goals, autonomy, and then really appreciating them in public if they're doing well. And if there is some error, having a private conversation, which is again very respectful and supportive rather than criticizing them. And this seems to be a bit of self-praise and bragging, but this actually was a career highlight this year, earlier this year. One of my reports, I have changed the name and that you can see in green here. She said in a big staff meeting, I have never ever worked with any manager like Mishra. I'm so grateful for her leadership. So that was testimony to the leadership skills, which truly I had no training. I developed it through my reflective thinking. And that was a testimony that whatever I'm doing, it is working. It is heading me towards the leadership which I wanted to be. So again, this is an example of professional growth. And I'm heading towards slightly within the personal space, how I am coping with ongoing parenting challenges. I have two children, a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old teenagers. And anyone who is in the audience today and you have teenager kids, you would know what a challenge that could be. 1 minute they are a beautiful rainbow with sunshine around, and the next minute they are unexpected thunder full of rage and noise. So these people are unpredictable. And sometimes you wonder, I have given birth to them, I'm raising them, but do I really know them? Sometimes no, we may not. Not their fault. They are going through an emotional roller coaster. The hormones are driving them crazy. And there is also a lot of change in the world happening. Social media is on the hype. They're dealing with a lot. So the generational gap is natural. It would be there. It has always been there between parents and teenage kids. That is not unusual. What is an added pressure or challenge for me is that me and my husband, we were raised in a different country, in a different culture, in collectivist societies with limited resources. On the other hand, our children are born and raised in Australia. They have enough resources. Both parents are working. They have well-paying jobs. They are raised in an individualistic society. Their challenges are entirely different than ours. And at times, we feel we cannot even understand what they're going through. We don't even understand their concerns. So what my autoethnographic approach helps me here is I really try to step in their shoes and understand what is going on. Because I haven't gone through that. My challenges are different, entirely different. Theirs is different. So then I come in and observe and try to understand their perspective and their worldview and really connect with them again. So that is where the parenting challenges can be helped. And the second one, which I selected for this paper, was emotional regulations. As I said earlier, within the autoethnography engagement, my favorite part was actually acknowledgement of emotions and really observing them, analyzing them. So it has actually taught me to better regulate my own emotions. And one example which I can give was, I had an episode of insomnia last year, I think. And anybody who has experienced insomnia, you will know what a living hell that could be. So if you can't sleep, you can't really function. I had that for a few months. I tried everything, went to the doctor, all over-the-counter medications, prescribed medications, even herbal medicines. Say I just fell short of using drugs, really. Everything worked for a few days, few weeks, and then I'm back to insomnia. Then I just accidentally discovered an online program, This Way Up. It is an evidence-based Australian cognitive behavior therapy. And what it does is it actually helps you or teaches you how to work with your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors so you can improve your sleep and make a positive change in how you feel. When I saw the course outline, I thought, okay, that's for me. I know how to do this. I have really engaged with that. This is essentially what I did while I was writing my autoethnography. So I enrolled for the program. I think it was 7 weeks long or something. Within 7 weeks, clearly, I started seeing the improvement. And within a few months, I was back to normal. So who would see this coming? But, health situation, I overcame that with just engaging with the thoughts, with the emotions, and really retraining the mind to develop better sleeping habits. And then the second one, again, an example of autoethnography helping in emotional regulation, that is dealing with grief. So first of all, what is grief? It is a permanent loss of something or someone which you deeply care about. We all experience that. It is a very universal and probably most difficult human experience. It comes in different forms, different ways: loss of a loved one, loss of a pet, loss of a relationship. We all experience that at different stages of life, and we all know how difficult that could be. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and somebody said, grief is the price of love we pay. That is so true. The intense the love, the biggest the grief of that person or that thing you deeply care about. And hand on my heart, I can say that grief is something which has the potential to change us for worse or for better. For worse, it can make us bitter, angry, frustrated. It can change our personality negatively. But on the positive side, if we are handling it well, it can also make us more empathetic. It can also make us more loving. So all the possibilities are there, but they all depend on how we are dealing with grief, how we are handling this difficult emotion. So in the next slide, I have just written down a reflective narrative on a very recent event. I lost a family member, on how we actually feel that, or what happens to us. So I will not read that. I will let you read if you want to. But we know what happens. As I said, it's a universal experience. Nobody is really spare of that. What I felt was the change in my way of dealing with grief before I engaged with autoethnography and after I engaged with autoethnography, that was completely different. I lost my dad before that. I lost my mother after that. So the both experiences were completely different. I dealt with it as a different person, I can say that. In short, how I deal with this now is, as I mentioned, the double consciousness, being the insider and the observer. So as an insider, when I'm going through a grieving experience, I feel it completely. I sit with it and I let it take over for a while, because there is really no way we can rush it. There is no way we can hide from it. There is no way we can run from it. So the only choice that we really have is to sit with it rather than running away. So I do that now. And once the experience is really felt and gone, then I try to observe as a neutral person, watching it, analyzing it, and putting strategies in place, and then finally letting it go. With strategies, I mean different things which could be different for everybody. For me, they are connecting with my support system, then maintaining my routines, doing the things more consciously, which I know can possibly bring me joy, exercising, mindfulness, and all those kind of things. But I understand they could be different for anybody. Here, I want to put a disclaimer over here. I am not saying it kind of is mathematical thing. You do this and you do that, it will go away. It probably won't. It is an ongoing process. And I always say grief is an uninvited guest. It comes in the most unexpected times when you are not even thinking about it. The good news is by doing that, being insider and observer and being neutral and putting the strategies in place, it is quite possible you can have a break from this unwanted guest. So this is just, again, another example of emotional regulation where I am using double consciousness and all those things which I have learned from autoethnography. And no, I'm heading towards the end of my presentation. In conclusion, I can say that as a keen insider and observer, I see autoethnography creeping in everything I do. And that is the story I wanted to share today. Once again, beyond my doctoral research and through my autoethnographic eye. So I stop here, and no, I can take any questions if I have time, and if I don't, you can email me your questions at bushrachahal@yahoo.com. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Busra, for sharing your work with us. Of course, we have time for question and answer. And maybe if you want to share your response, because the two other presenters are not here. So we have time. Feel free to ask questions.
I'm having to mask up because my wife is standing here behind me and I've got COVID. So I'm asking her if she wants to make a comment. She knows Bushra quite well. And Lily's not just an educator, but she's also a counsellor. And she just said to me, that's a beautiful presentation. In research, one of the minimalist ways of judging the impact of research with postgraduate students is publications. And I mean, yeah, that's important, but it's a very minimalistic approach. I think what is much more important is looking at the impact of research on people's practice and on their lives. And what Bushra has exemplified here is a holistic benefit from engaging in this particular form of research, autoethnographic research, where you study the relationship between yourself and the culturally different other. So wonderful, Bushra. I can't find the words to say any more than that. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks, Vida. Means a lot to me.
Yeah. Shika Guru, do you have a question?
Yeah. Bushra, congratulations. I actually wanted to talk about how you ended your presentation. You said that you feel after conducting the autoethnography, you felt autoethnography creeping into everything you do. So that's the exact feeling I resonate with you when I also conducted autoethnography. But then, I mean, I have been living with that feeling that, oh, research is something that is not just happens outside, it's something that you live with. But then there are also people who have been counteracting and saying that, I mean, I listen to people and then they are like, autoethnography is not a research, like how can you say, or how can you tell your story and claim that you are a researcher, So somebody who talks that autoethnography is not a research in various ways, So how would you like to answer? I mean, so that I also have an answer when you give me touch people who feel that only quantitative research or research on other people's lives is a true form of research and not the other way around.
Thank you, Sika. This is a very common challenge, isn't it? And there are different criteria what is most important. It resonates with you. And you say, yes, I feel the same, which you just did. That is a validation to itself. That is the, you tell your story and the other person just says, yes, I feel the same way. That speaks the truth to your research. And as far as for the critics, I don't really care. As they say, haters gonna hate. So let them say what they say. But I personally think if my story resonates with you, that is true.
Okay. Thank you. Miss Nani, do you want to say something?
Yeah. Do you hear my voice, Pusra?
Nani?
Yeah. Thank you very much for your nice presentation and your deep reflection on autoethnography. I think we are doing the same approach and also having the same feeling. But I think in your presentation, if I'm not mistaken, you also you are on the stage of feeling that somehow it is harmful for us as a researcher. So my question is, do you think it's related to certain quality standard that we have to discuss in your presentation, uh, which is can avoid the harmful of doing that for a research?
Maybe you can move to another room because it's echoing, so we can't hear you clearly.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, so because we are doing the same approach in our research all the time, right? Doing autoethnography, and I think in your case, you already experienced perhaps a little bit harmful thing to do so. So, do you think it's related with the quality standard that we have to be aware while we are doing autoethnography as a researcher? And can you like share to us what kind of the quality standard that we have to do for the autoethnographic approach?
So, Nani, as I said, number one, resonating with the readers is important to me. I think the other one, which always helps, is providing the thick description. So while you're writing the story, bringing all the context in, which, sometimes it is quite possible. For example, if I'm writing about my experiences in Pakistan, nobody in Australia will understand that. It cannot possibly resonate with them. But while I'm providing the context and that thick description, that will give them enough to understand, even though if they are not their experiences, even though if they can't relate, how the context can provide them enough information to make sense of that. So I think that is another criteria which I really kept in mind always while writing it.
Yeah, thank you to emphasize that.
Okay, thank you. If there are no more responses from these sessions.
Could we hear Sika's account of how she validates her autoethnography?
Okay, should we move on to the next presenter?
I think Peter said something.
I can't really hear because this room is too loud. Could you help me, Ibu Neni?
Would you please repeat your question, Peter?
Sorry. When Sika was asking Bushra a question about how you judge the impact of autoethnography, she also said, I have a response as well, and I'm really keen to hear that, but I'm not sure if she's still in the room or not. So it's Sika Gurung.
Oh yeah, Shika is still here.
Sika is
Yeah.
still here.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry, I couldn't understand. Yeah, I'm here. Did you ask anything? I'm sorry, I'm cooking as well as listening.
Multitasking.
Mother
Okay.
over everything.
All right. So when you were talking to Bushra after her presentation, you said something like, I'm interested to know how you validate your autoethnography.
Yeah.
And you said, I have an approach too, and I'm interested in knowing what that is.
Oh, did I say that? Oh, actually, no. I mean, what Bushra answered was that, yeah, hate is gonna hate and so on. But then I feel that this is, I mean, we must have some validation or reason behind. Like one of her answers satisfied me when she said, you know, you resonate with me, and that is one answer. That could be one answer, you know. But then I still look forward to other strong answers. I mean, I'm not saying that's not a strong answer, but then other many reasons as to why we, or why, what we can tell to people that autoethnography is also a research, you know. Like one reason I said that whenever I face such people, I answer them in a way that, I know, by over the time, I have felt that research is not just a piece of paper, you know. I mean, I am somebody who takes a lot of time to conduct research, and then I get scolded by my supervisors, you know, that I'm not doing it on time. But then what I've been feeling these days is that I must get things from within, you know. I must understand, I must live, I must uh, experience, and therefore I can write. And that's why I'm taking time, you know. I'm taking time to deliver what I feel, what I want to say. That doesn't happen overnight, that, oh, I have to write a research paper within this span of time, and then here it is, my paper is ready. It doesn't happen that way. So autoethnography gives me the same feeling, you know. So it's like you're living your research. So when Bushra said that autoethnography crept into whatever she does, she did, you know, that really touched me, and because that was the same feeling. So, but I wanted to know other reasons as to argue whenever we have argument, because this is a discourse, you know. We, in a discourse, we have healthy arguments. When people, because majority of people go by quantitative research or ethnography or a field-based research, basically, you know. But in autoethnography, field is our mind. So how do we justify that abstract yet so real thing in autoethnography, you know? So that always troubles me, or I seek answers to that. That was my question.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Can I answer?
Please, yeah, go right ahead.
So I half of a chapter on that in my thesis. I think anyone, Mangarai and Anisia, we all engage with this kind of research, and we all know we dedicated at least one or full chapter on that. So if it is not, you know, if you have time, I can flick you that particular chapter and you can read through that. And that will help you to answer if somebody asks, is it really a research?
Yeah.
It's very common. You're not alone. It has been asked every single one of us. And yeah, we all work with the people who are very kind of quantitative research method, tables and all of that. That is graphs and tables, pretty much. So yes, I can do that if you like to.
Sure, always. Never say no to knowledge. Please share.
Okay, thank you, Bushra, for your response. I know, like, I'm in dealings with qualitative research, you know, as a novice researcher, me myself experiencing, you know, the moment of grappling with how I validate with my feelings, you know, putting on the research where majority of people might be value quantitative with the number more than feelings, you know. But what I found in a qualitative is there is a space that you could put and you trust your feelings and share it to others. Okay, that's wonderful. Oh, Shika,
Can I please take this wonderful platform as an opportunity to talk about it a little bit more?
Okay.
I remember when I defended my MPhil thesis, there was a huge group of people, you know, with due respect. But then they were like, oh, what have you done? your research is not a research. It looks like a novel. You've written a novel instead. What is this? There are poems, and there are dialogues, and there are imaginations, there's drawing, and there are metaphors. I mean, your chapters do not have standard titles. Like, for example, limitations, I named them fences because they limit me, so I used the metaphor of fences. And then, so people were like, what have you done with your research? You've written a novel. There's a difference between a novel and a research. And the only answer to that was, well, autoethnography celebrates personalized writing. And that's the biggest thing that inclines me towards autoethnography, that personalized. I would like to express myself the way I know, the way I am comfortable with, or the way I like to, So that was the only thing I could say, So since then, I've been wondering, I mean, I had doubts on myself that time that, oh, did I actually research, or did I just go by certain person's philosophy and conducted a research in my MPhil degree, which is such an important thing to do. But then other side of me also tells me that, well, MPhil or PhD is not something that you just pile up one more certificate. It's like you contributing your knowledge to the discourse, to the body of knowledge, So you have to come up with something new. And when you come with something new, there are people who will oppose, but then you must defend your idea. You must know what you have done. Yeah, you might not have done something perfect. There might be room for improvement, but then as far as you are satisfied with what you have done, I think autoethnography again celebrates that very idea of enjoying what you do. What you feel, what you have experienced, and what you want to deliver to people. So I think that was my feeling. I just wanted to share. Yeah, thank you for the platform.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your feelings. Because I know that you can relate the topics here with your own experiences. But to give enough time for Ms. Neni Mariana to present. Oh, Naif want to say. Okay. Okay.
Oh, sorry about that. Because I have the same experience as Sika asked the same question. I've been asked the same question about is your research is considered a real research? But as we don't have time, moving to another one, maybe next time I'll share my experience. But the short answer, I realize that short answer is it's about the epistemology. That's a short answer for the to answer this kind of questions. Otherwise, there is so many things to say. It's so many things to say. It's about the credibility, the authenticity. Yes, so many. But it's the short answer is what is your epistemology?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we can continue to discuss that in the panel discussion, because we share the same experience.
Yeah. I will just add one final comment here. So organization I'm currently work at, they're big on including the lived experience in every kind of research. Still very quantitative, tables, graphs are there, but that is where I see the opportunity, finally, this kind of research going into on the main stage. Because in mental health, you cannot do anything until you know the first-hand lived or living experience of the people. So there is hope, but yes, we need to keep pushing and keep working on that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you everyone for your contribution. So, time's yours, Miss Neni, to present your words.
Thank you very much, Mareta. Oh, sorry, wrong page. Okay, this one. Okay, can you see my page?
We are seeing your screens, but your voice is really low.
Okay, now is it clearer?
Yeah.
Let me try to make it full screen before we start. Okay, good morning, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, I want to present my reflection on my teaching practice about and the entitled Teaching as Self-Culturally Value-Laden Transformation in Elementary Mathematics Education. So, the autobiographical background of this presentation is, firstly, I want to state who I am. As a researcher, I'm a mathematics educator in the Department of Elementary Teacher Education, Faculty of Education, Universitas Negeri Surabaya.
Nah,
And
ini udah share, Net.
sorry?
Udah share. Share-nya share yang share itu present.
Oh, sorry.
Soalnya jadi kecil banget.
Udah share yang present, belum kelihatan.
Teacher who understand emotion.
Yang lain Mareta lihat ya.
Creating learning and what steps.
I just cannot see. I mean, probably my internet, but seems to be only the Canva. I mean, should be present gitu. Click present.
Okay. Let me try again.
Yeah.
As in the picture beside, I use
yeah.
that
Yeah, itu.
students bring when learning.
So, is it clear now? Bigger?
No, not yet, Miss.
Oh, yeah.
Not yet.
Masih presentnya klik banget. Biasanya agak berat kan Pak soalnya.
Ya udah.
Langsung.
Probably the internet.
I think so, yeah. I think still loading because here it's already on the full screen presentation. Okay, let me continue. So, firstly, I learned mathematics education at 3 different campuses. The first one, I was graduated my bachelor degree from UNESA. And in the campus, the positivism paradigm dominated all the time. And but I was lucky because my supervisor at that time was teaching me how to do qualitative research and look at look deeper on the students' thinking and doing the interview with students and also but it's not the interview that in the sense of talking heart by heart. So even though at that time the research in my department, in the mathematics education department, was dominated by positivism paradigm, but my supervisor taught me to work with post-positivism. And then I was moving and did my master degree at Utrecht University, the Netherlands, and I feel the shifting paradigm after the positivism to post-positivism. So although we are still talking about mathematics all the time, but doing realistic mathematics education during my master degree, they asked me all the time to look at what students need, what students think, and listen to them carefully before I go to the next step in my design activities. So I feel at that time that this approach was more humanity than the previous one that I experienced during my bachelor degree. And then when I pursued my doctoral degree and PhD at Curtin and Murdoch University with Peter, so the paradigm is shifting too. So previously, I just learned about one way to do a research, and then now at that time during my doctoral degree, I'm working with many paradigms, and that really like like Peter is like a Mobius that I expressed in my paper that just been rejected, Peter. So you have to work again in that paper. So very nice experience. Okay. So I was learning about multi-paradigmatic research design. I work with so many paradigms at the same time, and then I moving around with three different paradigms, and then somehow it looks like Mobius type for me as a mathematician. And that's very interesting to see how I am moving from one paradigm to another one, and somehow I return back to the previous paradigm, and then I change my paradigm all the time during the research. And because of that, I feel that uh, I found that the power of cultural values playing important role in my research, because by doing this, by playing many paradigms, I felt that all the time I asked why I'm thinking in this way. So what kind of values that I hold, so that I come up with certain beliefs and views about mathematics. And I found that all the time, like the values of me as an Indonesian is being the hegemony and in the perspective of teaching mathematics. But after that, I'm changing that. I found that my religious belief and also my other identities also play a role, an important role to deliver mathematics in a value-laden way. So this is the research framework that all the time I'm using during my research. And um, actually the circle figure I constructed in my PhD dissertation. But after years of doing research with my students using this circle framework, I found that somehow I haven't started in one one circle and follow the other one in a row. But somehow I feel that while I'm doing, for example, critical knowing, and suddenly I move to the cultural self-knowing to engage my students in the research. So it's not anymore being like a circle in my perspective, but it also can be like now it being like a lot of lines connecting this circle uh, in a way that I help my students to do their auto ethnographical research.
Oh, we are
And
still seeing your who I am slide.
oh, really? So I think it's better if I just connect it. Yeah.
Maybe you can re-choose the screen that you share, Mbak Neni.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Can you see it now?
Nope.
Okay, now can you see it?
No.
No. Oh.
Try stop sharing first and then share the full screen slide.
Okay. Yeah, it works.
Okay. So this is the circle that I just explained. So somehow when I help my students constructing their research through autoethnography approach, then um, we can start from anywhere. So we don't need to do it in order, like after cultural self-knowing, relational knowing, and so on and so forth. But somehow I engage them with with the research by doing the critical knowing, asking all the times what they really need, what they are want to criticize in the way that as a teacher, as mathematics teacher in elementary school, they want to change something. So this is a very like very much what I found in my dissertation is now a little bit changing in my perspective. So and now it's not in a circle anymore for me, but more or less it's just like any lines can be can connect the circles in such a way, depends on the need of the research itself. So and this consciousness of the research framework bring me to the topic of my research, which is I share 3I in my research experience. So I try to embed like 3 different contexts: Islam, Indonesia, and international within mathematics education in Indonesia. And so it brings to my research interest afterward. So I'm still doing realistic mathematics education, but a little bit combination with ethnomathematics actually. So I'm doing ethno-RME, if I can say that. So by doing realistic mathematics education, I'm learning to understand students' minds, like just what I explained. And I also learning to connect to other selves. So because I'm trying to understand or what's in students' mind, I talk with them, and somehow I ask them to draw something or explain their strategies, and that's why I try to connect my perspective to my students' perspective. So I found research as learning in this way, and then the second topic of my research is usually about ethnomathematics. And by doing the ethnomathematics, I'm nurturing my cultural values through research and also through my students' research. I become more understand about the diversity in Indonesian cultures and heritages. And then we are working together to explore things in mathematics in mathematics concepts, and then after that we are trying to design activities for elementary students by using the cultural context. And the third one is any transformative pedagogy. What I mean by transformative pedagogy is any research that can enhance the awareness, empathy, and advocacy as the mathematics educator. And somehow my students feel that I don't want to do anything related with culture, but just I don't like mathematics, but I want you to be my supervisor. Then what should I do? And I said, so do the research. Why you dislike mathematics? So, and because of that, I like to see the changing perspective of my students while they are doing the autoethnographic research, even though it's not widely strong in mathematics, but the way they express their feeling and their ideas to see how mathematics education should be for elementary school students is all the times are interested for me. So the next is I want to share about my teaching values. As I explained before, because my teaching values uh, uh, are also influencing by 3 I's: Islamic, Indonesia, and I turn. This is the expression of my international perspective, because I turn, our I turn family are really is really like influencing me in the way I'm teaching my students right now. Our discussion in the WhatsApp group really like make me being the reflective educator all the time, and then I try to uh, reflecting and changing all the time with my students. And the teaching value that I can conclude for this different perspective are teaching as learning from the Islamic perspective, and teaching as nurturing for my Indonesian perspective, and teaching as transforming for the ITEN perspective. And I will explain why by one. Why is that? So teaching as learning. So I found this after I'm doing the reflective practice in my teaching, I found this that Islam really teaches me how what teaching is. So from different verses and also hadith or prophetic traditions, I learned that for example, in the Mujadilah verses 11, Allah said that Allah will exalt and rank those of you who believe and those who have knowledge. Allah is aware of that you do. So I bold these three words because being a believer is not enough in the eyes of Allah. We have to have knowledge. And then because of that, it can make you aware that everything you do is Allah is seeing you. So this really like a strong way to, what is it, to play a role in my professional practice, because all the time I see what does it mean being a Muslim if my good values and my good belief cannot coloring cannot be coloring my teaching practice. So because of this, I'm being aware of my current condition, previous condition, and I'm changing all the time about it. And seeking knowledge is obligatory upon every Muslim. This is the one hadith, and the other one is the best among you Muslim are those who learn the Quran and teach it. So there is connection, a strong connection that is in Islamic tradition that the Prophet taught us about learning first and then teaching it, and that's just like a continuous way of doing the teaching as learning, because you cannot teach if you don't learn anything, and while you are teaching you are learning some things from your students perspective. And this is really like engaging in my experience as a Muslim educator. And the second one is I found this teaching as nurturing while I'm doing while I'm discussing the learning theories in the perspective of Indonesian founding father Ki Hajar Dewantara. So in the Ki Hajar Dewantara, he taught us these three strong theories of him. I want to share here. The first one is all changes that occur in students are related to the nature of the situation, both nature and time. So Ki Hajar Dewantara taught us about what we called kodrat alam and kodrat zaman. So the nature of nature and the nature of time. And because of this, and he also said that children live and grow according to their own nature. Educators can only care for and guide the growth of that nature. So educating is nurturing, teaching is nurturing. It's not only delivering knowledge to your students, but you also have to know whether your students is growing with their own potentials or not. So this is very strong related with while I'm doing or while I'm supervising my students in doing their research. That's why I feel somehow I feel that perhaps I don't have the umbrella research for my students, but for sure, these values, I believe, because I all the time always let them flow by their own needs and their own curiosity for doing the research, and then I just follow their paths and then guiding them through the process. So and the trilogy of Ki Hajar Dewantara, and these are in our educational system nationally are very famous. The first one is Ingar Sosung Tulodo, in the front being a good role model. And the second one is Ingmadio Mangun Karso, in the middle building the wheel. And the third one is Tuturi Handayani, in the back giving encouragement. These are talking about the role of a teachers. So of a teacher. So while we are being a teacher, we usually positioning ourselves in front of the students, and somehow we are in the middle of them, and somehow we are in the back of them. We move backward because we want to give them spaces to present or to, like to express their ideas and their strategies while they are, for example, doing mathematics. And this is really a strong message while we are in front of them. So we are the role model. So the way we are teaching mathematics in higher education, they will adopt the way I'm teaching mathematics in their way of teaching mathematics to elementary school students. So that's this consciousness uh, make me be careful while I'm doing mathematics with them, because otherwise they will copying what I'm doing with them to the elementary students. So that's why this is really strong. And in the middle, building the wheel. And while I'm in the middle of them, while they are discussing, for example, I also have to learn how can how can I like take role on how can I hold myself to not comment anything while they are still discussing. So this is this trilogy of Ki Hajar Dewantara, all the time I reflect to this. And the last one is teaching as transforming. This idea I believe drawn from the Ayrton value, my international value all the time, influencing by our Ayrton family. So by doing teaching, I'm feeling that teaching is a process of transforming my students. But if I'm continuing with the reflexive practice after teaching, then teaching is a process also to to transform myself. But somehow before you teach and before I'm teaching, I feel that I also doing the transformation. So I'm doing the reflection, and I'm changing the way I teach one class to the previous class is different. The way I teach the current cohort with the previous cohort somehow are different, because before I'm teaching them, I'm doing the process of reflection, and then that's why I have to transform myself before I transform my students. So this is the arrow means. And then if we are transforming our students, then the next step, the students as a teacher, they will transform the society, because they teach the students that will be the elementary student that in the future they will be anything. They can be a president, for example, or they can be another teacher or another professions. So teaching them means for me is also transform the society. And I want to share that which units I love to teach. So I have in my bachelor degree, I have two interesting units that we put in our curriculum. The one is STEAM for elementary school and ethno-realistic mathematics education. I love teaching these two units because I have to collaborate with colleagues, especially for STEAM. Usually I work with different disciplines and then to help students doing their project in society and also at school for designing STEAM activities. So for the master degree, in the master degree curriculum, we have two interesting units. The first one is sustainable ethnopedagogy, and the second one is global multiliteracy. So with these two units, I'm also working with usually different lecturers from different disciplines, and then we are working together to construct students' idea in their ethnopedagogy, and we related that with the SDGs goals, and they usually use SDG goals uh, to criticize the culture or the belief that already hold. And then by doing so, it's a little bit complicated in Indonesia, but because somehow, like the super curriculum images between reconstruction, what is it? I forget the name. Cultural reproduction and social reconstruction uh, is discussing in our classroom because of this approach. And the global multiliteracy, we are not only teaching about literacy or numeracy, but we teach other multiliteracy and connect it with the global issues. So teachers and our master students, they are working with, they are becoming more aware that the global issues also impact, bring the back impact somehow in Indonesian circumstances. And the third one is the doctoral degree. In the doctoral degree, we have the unit called localization in elementary education. And somehow I invited our ITON family to give a workshop or a speech in the scientific meeting with our master and doctoral students within these units. Okay, the last one is the reflective conclusion. While I'm doing this research perspective, I'm now seeing mathematics within my religion. And now I see mathematics everywhere in 100,000 ethnics in my country. Now I see mathematics in our global issues. And by teaching, by bringing this context in my teaching method, and supervising my students' math education thesis, it makes mathematics becomes more meaningful and closer to my students. Thank you very much. Now I close it for that room for discussion.
Okay, thank you so much, Nanny, for sharing your reflection. So we welcome any response or questions from these audiences. Feel free to unmute yourself.
I don't want to go first again.
Maybe this is my personal opinion in terms of, working with multiple paradigms. I wonder about your thought. Maybe to this also audience, Peter can also respond, or maybe Ibu Yuli or other presenters here. But, working with multiple paradigms, whereas in one side, we have to choose like which paradigms that is aligns with our within these multiple theories that exist in this world. Do you think like we should maybe better, working with multiple embracing the difference of paradigms?
Okay, I can't resist answering that. So it's a great question. Firstly, I think we should be literate in all paradigms. We should know how they all work and what their individual purposes are, and the history behind those different paradigms as they emerged during the 20th century, and why they emerged and why there was conflict between them. Now, that literature and that debate was going on in the 1990s in America and probably also in Europe to a lesser extent. And it was unfortunately a scholarship and a conversation that has sort of disappeared from view. And that's a real shame because it is such a valuable set of ideas and we can't let it just disappear into history. The handbooks of qualitative research were exemplary in presenting all the theoretical ideas, and following that, then lots of practitioners came out and did research and published papers. So it doesn't help to be what's called paradigmatic egocentric. This is a term I'm borrowing from Bal Chandra. We should avoid privileging one paradigm over all others. Now, we might use a particular paradigm to practice research, and that's okay because it depends on your purpose. And that's really how we choose our different approaches. It depends on what type of research we want to do, the resources that we have available, and so on. But in teaching our students, our masters and our doctoral students about educational research, we should help them to understand there are a range of paradigms and they all serve different purposes. Each one has a different epistemology. That's the point that Knife raised earlier, different ways of knowing, but more importantly, different standards for judging the quality or validation, if you like, of the knowledge claims that are arising. All right, I'm going to pause because I could go on forever. So let me just pause there.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. That's really enlightening. I hope that when I write a paper and then publish it, the reviewers can have such kind of mindset, you know, and also knowledge on how we should embrace and not privileging one paradigms over the
Well, that
others.
then depends on the journal that you send your paper to, because
Yeah.
not all reviewers have that breadth of understanding, and there's often a pushback due to ignorance.
Yeah.
Perhaps I want to
Okay.
share my latest experience with my master's students, because now currently they are changing in the viewpoints of my colleagues, because in the master's study programs we are working also with colleagues from mathematics department, and even though as the coordinator of the master degree program, I can choose which colleague I want to or is it examine my master student thesis. Anyway, even though I choose like qualitative, the college that working with qualitative research all the time, at the beginning they are not dealing with this idea of doing autoethnography, right? And at that time, my students was being pushed to delete the way, the narrative way of doing the research. And then she was very stressful at that time. And then I told her, don't worry, don't delete it. Just submit your thesis. They will like sign your thesis. But the debatable issues are rising. But after that, just a few weeks ago, one of my master students, another master student was being examined in her thesis about self-efficacy in mathematics education, and she's working with multi-paradigmatic research design as well. And then at that time, the same person, the same professor, examined her thesis, and he said that, all right, so narrative way is allowed. So you can do autoethnographic because you have this certain research question in your thesis. So that was really enlightful for me, because finally they accept that. So it's really like, oh wow, okay. So but my students still, like confusing and frightening, because he was a very good professor in qualitative research.
Okay.
I said that, okay. And after that, but he said something about paradigm. He said, why are you choosing so many paradigmatic research design? If you choose like more than one paradigm, that will make you difficult to achieve your research goal. And then because you have to move between paradigms all the time, and that makes you can't finish your thesis in time. And then she couldn't answer that question, but now I see another challenge in supervising my students' thesis, because okay, autoethnography is already accepted, but the multi-paradigmatic is not. So that's why I try to convince my students, then we will work together to convince him that this multi-paradigmatic research is needed, because you have so many perspectives in your research questions. And it's just like what Peter said, it depends on your research purpose, because your research purpose want to explore inside and outside, and because you're working with many different perspectives, and course, and also at the same time you are working also in the critical way, criticize yourself, criticize others, and also changing yourself and changing others. That's why we also using the critical done in your thesis. So this is really like a good discussion and a good flourishment that I just experienced.
Yeah, that's great. Good to hear, Nenny.
Yeah, that's wonderful reflection. Any other responses? Because we have still about 7 more minutes before we have break. Naif maybe, because I noticed that he wants to add something. Okay, no one. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for your participation, and to those who presented your work and sharing your work with us. We do really appreciate it. Just for information that we will have a panel discussions with Peter at 12:30. So yeah, and I noticed that this is a reunion for some of your students, Peter. I hope we got ongoing conversations during the panel discussions. Thank you so much, everyone. You may leave the breakout room and return stations.
Thank you for your moderation too.
Thank you, Mareta.
Thank you, Mbak Mareta.
You're welcome, Ibu.
Yeah.